Dirty Honey are taking no prisoners on their new album, Can't Find the Breaks. We found the band's rhythm section, bassist Justin Smolian, along with drummer Jaydon Bean, who's just joined the group. Jaydon explains how he's both the new guy and the old guy.
I was kind of playing with these guys years and years ago. Me and Justin and John have known each other for forever, 12 years probably.
We used to live together.
So
he played on some of the early demos actually before we even called Dirty Honey.
Yeah.
Then he got like a big touring gig and left, and
you know, we were just fiddling around at that point.
Yeah.
You know, it was like it wasn't. I wouldn't say that there was necessarily a specific push at that point yet.
No, we were like in the garage and playing bar gigs in Santa Monica.
You know, we were having a good time and playing music together, and yeah, I was working, so it was just took me away for a little bit, and yeah,
that's when it popped.
That's when it took off. So great job.
Son of a gun.
Yeah.
So now you're back.
Like, literally like when we got the email from Corey that he didn't want to continue touring, I was on the phone with him like 10 minutes later.
Yeah.
Right.
Not
there you go.
because he likes me, but also because the tour was in like a month.
Yeah, that too. But yeah,
you take what you can get.
Yeah. So he probably only had one option on his list.
We were the top of the options. We had other options.
Right.
All right. So in the time that you left and came back, did you notice anything different about the band other than the fact that more people are coming to see them?
You know, I've always loved these dudes and loved their sound and appreciate them as people as well as being phenomenal musicians. So I don't know that there was anything that I noticed new or different because I expected everything from them that they were able to achieve, you know.
Right.
I told John, and maybe you were there too, before they even started touring really, I was like, dude, once people see you guys live, that's when people are going to really notice that this is different, because anyone can make a record sound good, you know. That's just the age we live in with editing and stuff. But me knowing these guys, I know that none of the stuff on the record was edited, so I knew that coming to the shows live, people would be like, oh snap, this is really what they sound like.
Yeah.
It's really cool. Going to pop off. So
yeah, nothing really changed. I felt like we kind of fell back into our routine of how we used to hang out when we lived together. You know, pretty fast. Yeah. I think it maybe took Mark a couple shows to get used to him, but I mean, once he realized how good Jaydon was, and plus hearing real background vocals live, it was
that's right.
Yeah. I do all the backgrounds and kind of surprised Mark with it.
Like, who is that?
yeah, pretty much.
Hey, why does it sound so much better?
He's like, wait a minute, that sounds like the record now.
You recorded this record in Australia, right? In Byron Bay?
Yeah.
So tell me about that experience. What did you think of spending so much time in just across the ditch here from New Zealand?
From you, yeah. It's a little hop, skip, and a jump.
I mean, it's a beautiful place.
It was, it's interesting to record and have the time to record, but also have a backyard that's a safari.
Right.
The studio is,
seeing animals run across the yard that you've only seen online or in books or whatever. And
me and Justin definitely had the most downtime because in the process of recording, bass and drums are always the first keepers.
Right.
We definitely track everything together first, and then John and Mark will go in and make their little edits. But me and Justin record, and then we'd have a lot of downtime.
We had a lot of downtime,
smoking and just looking at the safari and
going
grilling
to the beach.
Yeah. So it was
kind of a vacation.
It was like a week of work and 2.5 weeks of vacation.
We'd come in there and be like, maybe change that melody or that lyric. Okay, see ya.
Did they warn you about the spiders?
We knew about them. We did have one that
got in the studio
and became a studio pet for until it ended up squished at the end of this
Did you guys squish it?
I didn't squish it, but when we left, it was definitely squished on the car. I think somebody accidentally put one of the amp cases on it, or didn't know it was there, and
bummer. Oh well.
There's a big mess on the floor.
Sacrifice for the record, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. So tell me how you worked with your same producer, Nick, that you guys worked with last time. Obviously, you didn't, Jaydon, but it was a very different situation because last time it was you guys were in one hemisphere and the other was in the other. So what was it like working together in the same room with them?
I mean, it was great. We did our first EP actually there also. So we've been to Byron and been in the room with him, and it's something I especially making this record, I realized how much that was sorely missed on the last one.
Right.
Because it's like, it's cool. He's still running the board and he gets all the sounds, but there's like the whole element of like when you're not in the recording room and like maybe you're just in the kitchen getting coffee and you're talking about life, and then you start talking about a song and inspiration happens there. It's not always just like when he's just focused on your instrument.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, I don't think there's replacing for everybody. There's no replacing everybody being in the same room.
Yeah, and especially, I mean, I didn't do that first record, but I've done things over Zoom before, and there's one thing about like getting the energy in the same room, being able to feel a person's vibe physically in the same room and knowing kind of what everyone's thinking versus just taking instruction over a phone call and being like, okay, now I don't really know what this guy is really thinking, or.
Yep.
Or, yeah, there's a whole thing of like when you're jamming, we're playing something and we're really onto it, and we'll look over at Nick and he's like,
yeah,
you don't get like, that over Zoom.
Yeah,
or immediate like feedback without having to say anything.
Like he's physically observing you in the room,
physically changing your amp, like
just doing little things, right. And like Justin said, in between you get time to just shoot the shit about whatever is going on, either that day in the studio or just in life in general, and that adds to the creative situation. It's like you get in a tight-knit little unit and everyone kind of gets to the same frequencies and understands where each other's at.
Yeah.
Plus, there was a bunch of basketball being shot, just fun.
They had a grill there, we're grilling it up.
It's got to be elements of fun and like kind of bonding a little bit. Especially when you're making a record like that.
Yep. So what kind of discussions did you guys as a band between yourselves have about how you wanted this record to be the same or different than what you've done before, or what kind of progression that you wanted to achieve?
Well, we wanted to take more time in the studio and use the studio as an instrument or a tool also. Yep. Which we had time to do on this record. We spent about 3.5 weeks on it, plus like 3 weeks at John's little home rehearsal studio thing.
Yeah, demo and stuff.
Yep.
And we just kind of wanted to expand the sound because we're all very what's the word for it? Well-versed musicians. We're not just like a one-trick pony. So I think we wanted to let people know like how diverse our sound could be and what we can really do.
Right.
So it was like a big part of it was expanding the sound, while also obviously, staying true to ourselves. There's obviously some great hard rockers on there too.
I mean, there's always that element when you're skilled in a lot of stuff is wanting to be like, oh, I'm good at this too. But I wouldn't say it was a goal to showcase like, oh, we can do a lot of things necessarily, as much as we have a lot of influences that we want to expand the sound to encompass more of our experience and our capabilities is one part of it, but like we called it being open to infinity, and just letting all the stuff that we have in our bag organically come out as Dirty Honey, because you can always, being good at a lot of different styles and whatever, you can always be like, oh, we want to write a certain type of song, and you can write that song, but it's not going to be authentic to what Dirty Honey is.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I don't think we were like, let's do a reggae song, let's do that, but it was more just being open to whatever we wrote.
Yeah,
and not being like, this is what Dirty Honey is, and we got to stay in that lane. It's anything we do is Dirty Honey.
We just didn't want to keep writing the same songs, you know.
Yeah.
We wanted to like allow for more to come through. So.
All right, and I see you've already released a video for "Won't Take Me Alive." So, what can you tell me about the song, about the video, how it came together?
I ain't a fighter, but you're never taking me alive. So if you're coming, then you wanna know it's suicide. You won't make me crawl with my back's to the wall. You're taking me alive.
The song started, John had the guitar riff and he made a little demo. And we kind of kept workshopping that at sound checks for a while, actually. And then we ended up coming up with a different chorus, guitar part John came up with, and then Mark and I kind of worked out the melody for the chorus on the bus, actually, backstage at a show. And then you kind of, you changed it a lot.
Yeah.
And the music video was actually just... we were on the road. We've been super busy this year, and we needed a music video done. We were on the road, and we got this great Colombian director to make the film. It was all shot actually in Colombia.
Oh, really?
The actors are Colombian. And he had this vision, and we were like, go for it. And so he made it, and that's what it is.
All right. It seems to have kind of a story behind it. It looks like a kid being hassled at school, and then suddenly he's a drummer.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was more just like a energy of a fighter, wanting to be you and not being put into a box. It's more like
and the feeling of rebellion as a youth and expressing that through music.
Yeah, because
that's something I think we all went through also.
Yeah.
He was, dealing with all those things outside of her musical situation, and she would use the music to kind of let it out.
Gotcha. Yes. Speaking of drums, I noticed the last track, Rebel's Son, has some serious percussion going on there. Elaborate if you don't mind.
Mama told me I'm the only one. I'm just a rebel son. And every day that I'm on the run, I'm like a loaded gun.
Well, that whole section was not there until the very end. We were essentially
the last 2 minutes.
Yeah, the last 2 minutes. That whole little outro jam section. That was Mark was kind of just like, this needs something. Can we just throw a jam or something at the end of this? And we
had a piano player actually come in for a day. He's playing on Rome and a couple other songs. And he finished all the stuff that we brought him in there for. And we were like, hey, what if we just tried a little jam at the end of this instead of doing the chorus or whatever we were doing again?
Yeah. Yeah, so essentially we just hopped back in real quick. Yeah, and
me and him hadn't played for days too. We were like, let's see how this goes.
Yeah, we had just finished playing a bunch of basketball and
we were
jamming our fingers and stuff, and then we were like, all right,
2.5 week vacation was over.
Yeah. So we just hit record and started jamming on it, and that's literally just one take through, and then the percussion stuff. I was just like, I want to play some bongos on this. Let's put some shaker. All right, let's throw some tambourine on it. Let's make it a party. And it was just kind of...
Yeah, Nick's good with encouraging that kind of stuff too.
Yeah.
He likes experimenting in the studio.
Yeah.
And that's when you ask the differences, that's the big difference between the last couple records and this one is having the time to experiment, having almost a month a week.
Yep. And there's looks like about 3 ballads on the record. One of them called "Coming Home," Ballad of the Shire, which I kind of was drawn to. Well, is there much discussion about how many ballads versus rockers you're going to have, and what can you tell me about that one in particular?
There was some arguments about that.
Gone are the lines that were drawn, mistakes we made when we were young. No southern train could keep me from where I still belong.
but I think what happened is we cut about 19 tunes.
Yeah.
Right.
And we just really let the best songs win, I think is what happened at the end of the day. But there was where you're like, hey, there's too many ballads on this.
Yeah, there was a conversation about it, but in the end, the consensus was
put the best material
just
out.
Put the best songs on the record, and
I think we found an order where it doesn't feel
like a lull or a just a record of ballads.
Like Rome, to me, is like barely even a ballad.
It's ballad based off tempo, but energy-wise, it's a big song. You know? It's a big rock song, big rock ballad, I guess. And You Make It All Right is definitely a ballad. Coming Home is obviously definitely a ballad, but we just like those songs. We really like those songs. We want people to hear them. So
You Make It All Right. I mean, I think it's special to all of us. We all wrote that together, like in the rehearsal room, in like 30 minutes, kind of right before we left.
Yeah, it was
Australia.
It was essentially a jam. Mark was tinkering around on some roads, and
then I threw a couple chord changes in there, and
I was like, hey, that sounds pretty good, and I just started playing, and then John came in, and we were like, all right, we stopped for a second, we were like, all right, something's going on here. I pushed record. And then we just jammed for essentially, 5-6 minutes, and the whole form of the tune and even melodies and some lyrics were done. Literally finished in a matter of 6 minutes or whatever.
And that's kind of something. That's how I've always imagined how songwriting is supposed to be with a band. So I think that really connected and bonded us even more, right before going to Australia, which made the whole experience better.
Cool. And the artwork is interesting. It's from some LA graffiti artists. What do you guys know about that?
Risk is the man, and Risk is the man. He is an OG. I knew about Risk years and years ago. I was pretty into the graffiti scene as well. And Risk was always, he was one of the originators of the LA graffiti scene and has done artwork for tons of big bands as well.
I think he just did Blink's new record also.
Yeah, he's not just a graffiti artist. He's a well-versed, sought-after artist, and to have him do anything for us was
he was freaking out when he found about it.
Yeah,
found out about it. He's like, dude, I studied Risk.
Yeah, we did a gig that he came to and we didn't know, but he had made this artwork for us.
Yeah, the lips, but he did it his spray paint with it. It was really cool. We each got our own personalized one.
Yeah, and so we got to this gig and he shows up with 5 paintings this big, and we're all like, what the fuck? This guy's rad.
Yeah, and he also made us this super cool neon sign.
Yeah.
That with the lips, and that's what actually inspired us to hire him. We were like, dude, we basically want that.
Yeah.
As the album.
And the relationship's just been building.
Yeah.
He likes the band and we love his art, so it's perfect.
Yeah, I think he's actually going to come to our LA show and be doing some personalized ones for fans there and signing stuff. So
yeah, it's going to be rad.
Pretty cool. Now, speaking of band, the Stones put a new album out a couple of weeks ago. I was wondering if you guys had an opinion about that and could see yourselves strutting around the stage at age 79 or 80 like Mick and Keith.
I mean, I don't think I want to. It's honestly.
Well, you're a drummer. Your body's going to break down.
Yeah, I was like,
I'd love to.
I'll do it.
I really like it. I've only listened to a couple of the tracks, but it sounds like the Stones that I love. And I really love Andrew Watt, the producer. I've listened to a bunch of stuff that he's produced before, so I think it's really cool that they got him to do it. I like
it. Still sounds like the Stones, but it still sounds current.
It sounds fresh.
Is good,
but not too fresh.
Yep. Yeah, because it's still got to sound like the Stones. You don't want them, because that was kind of where they went off the tracks in the early '80s when they were trying to get modern. I thought, with undercover.
Yeah, right.
It's no. Have you shared a bill with the Stones or had any run-ins with them?
No, not yet. That'd be awesome. That's definitely one of the bucket list ones still.
Tell them to call us.
Right.
We'll tell their people to call our people.
Yeah. They can just call us.
Yeah, I guess
however they want to do it.
I think if somebody called me up and was like, "This is Big Jag," I'd be like, "Fuck off."
Yeah.
I wonder how many times that's happened to Mick.
Yeah, this is Mick Jagger. No, I will not give you my social security number.
Why are you calling me to ask us if we can do the gig?
Yeah, right. All righty. Very good. Well, hopefully you guys will find your way down this part of the world again and play some shows, because you haven't played in New Zealand, have you?
No.
No. All right. Well, that's on your bucket list as well then.
Yes, it is. New Zealand's beautiful.